He had MS as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news.
He actually believes that it's MS-13. One of two places that we're at right now. Place number one, Donald Trump is just lying. But there's a scarier option, that he actually thinks that this Photoshop is real. And the reason why that's scary to me is this is the most powerful man in the entire world, and he's actually basically getting manipulated by Facebook memes. Donald Trump is literally just a Facebook mom. Time for bed, Grandpa. Time for bed. All right, guys, let's get this going. I'm interviewed about this. Wow, incredible start. I'm curious about this interview. I saw some clips myself that were concerning, so I want to watch it. It's Trump's first 100 days in office. Let's watch.
This is an ABC News special from inside the White House.
When you stepped back in the Oval Office after you were reelected, what went through your mind? Triumphant when you walked back?
Yeah.
What went through your mind? Having better microphones? One of the biggest news organizations in the entire world with terrible microphones?
There's a feeling of triumph.
President Donald J. Trump on his 100th day in office. From the #1 issue, the economy.
People are worried, even some people who voted for you saying, I didn't sign up for this. So,
well, they literally did sign up for this. He ran on tariffs, just to be clear. I mean, I don't like Trump, but he ran on 25% tariffing. Like, I'm pretty sure he ran on tariffing the entire world like 25%. If anything, he's coming in under what he said. That just goes to show you that Trump supporters didn't actually believe he was going to do everything he said he was going to do, and that this was some kind of magical art of the deal. Which at this point, it's like, oh, you can pretty much say anything. And they're like, yeah, sure.
How do you answer those concerns?
Well, they did sign up for it, actually.
He's right. He is right.
It is an undeniable fact that illegal crossings at the southern border have plummeted, a staggering decline.
It's true.
But there are questions.
Which is great. The only problem is that we're kind of bypassing due process. So it's like, hey, you know what? That's a solid win. He's gotten illegal border crossings down. But now we're threatening due process of like even American citizens. Like we kind of there needs to be an ebb and flow here.
About your methods.
To Elon Musk.
Did DOGE go too far, too fast, too reckless?
Of course they did.
And the concerns from many Americans about the impact of tariffs.
Everything's going to be just fine.
President Trump.
Well, the rich guy who can survive an economic crisis is telling me we're going to be fine, guys. Don't worry. I feel fine. I feel great now.
The first 100 days, the interview in the Oval Office with ABC News anchor and senior national correspondent, Terry Moran.
Earlier today, I sat down with President Trump in the Oval Office for an exclusive interview on his 100th day of his second term. It was a great opportunity to ask him some wide-ranging questions about the issues that most concern so many Americans. We talked about the economy and his tariffs. We talked about immigration and those deportations. And you can see here the White House has put up some posters that they say show some of the violent criminals that have so far been deported.
Hopefully those are all like real and not just shit that he made up, like that one Maryland father thing.
About a lot more as well. The president's answers were provocative, at times combative, and always he was strong in his convictions about his policies. But before we
that's a nice way to talk about him.
Get to the interview, we begin tonight with a look inside the Oval Office that Donald Trump has transformed.
Wow.
Hello, everybody. How are you? This is the Oval Office. This is the Resolute desk, which is really something very spectacular. There's nothing quite like it.
It's like we're watching a stream setup, like review here. Papa Guy, can you show me your stream setup?
And they give you a choice of about 7 different desks, but this is the one I chose. Ronald Reagan had it.
This kind of feels like a waste of taxpayer dollars. Why can't they just have one fucking desk? I understand having like a different chair. Everybody's got a different butt, you know, at least I do. But why the hell do you need a different desk? That's not Trump's fault. I'm just saying, like, seems a little unnecessary. One desk that raises and lowers itself.
FDR had it. A few people had it, but I found it to be the most beautiful.
It is amazing.
This is an amazing space. And
now my desk is incredible. Okay, $800 from IKEA. Raises, lowers. It's fucking beautiful.
Maybe architecturally wonderful, but amazing for what it represents. It represents the U.S. and if properly used, a lot of good things can happen.
I see Ronald Reagan over there.
Yeah, Ronald Reagan.
Right to your left.
Being in the Oval Office is
It's the real Ronald Reagan. His soul's actually captured inside of that. I don't know if you guys know that. Okay.
Very important. See Ronald Reagan here, and put him a little bit larger. It sort of seemed to fit very nicely. You have Democrats a little bit. You have
Franklin Roosevelt.
Franklin Roosevelt. So you look at that picture and people say, well, what's he doing up there? But look, he was a serious president, whether we like it or not. He was a four-termer, and
seems like people liked him a lot, huh? If he was a four-termer, it sounds like Trump doesn't particularly care for him.
you know, went through a war. You have Lincoln, you have Washington, but you look over here, that's Monroe, the Monroe Doctrine.
Why is he up there?
I think the Monroe Doctrine was pretty important. You know, that was his claim to fame. Over here, you have the original of Abraham Lincoln and George Washington.
You know, I'm gonna be real with you. It sounds like, I mean, I don't really know too much about our history of presidents. It sounds like Trump knows about as much as I do with the way that he's talking about it.
And then, of course, you have the Declaration of Independence.
What does it mean to you?
Well, it means exactly what it says. It's a declaration. It's a declaration of unity and love and respect, and it means a lot. And it's something very special to our country.
Lincoln's portrait up there. I'm not familiar with that one, but I think when I'm looking at that famous line in the second inaugural, with malice toward none, with charity toward all. Is that
Well, he was
Doesn't really, I don't know if we're necessarily adopting that. Okay.
a great president. He went through a lot.
And the Oval Office is always changing between
He did go through a lot. Something went through him too. It was a bullet, so it's pretty unfortunate stuff.
presidents, and that
changes,
says
yeah,
something.
it does.
What does this say about how you feel about the country and the office?
Well, I think it says I love the country. I mean, I'm putting pictures of presidents up that have never been up, pictures that weren't largely used, and in many
I'm having a hard time believing that they weren't up before him, but okay.
cases, you know, great men, in this case, men, but
This is like we're doing fucking MTV Cribs right now with, with this room tour.
great men
Is this typical? Do they always do this, like all the 100 days?
of great achievement.
And your every detail, it seems.
Yeah.
This is your office.
I'm a very detailed person.
Okay.
I'm a very clean person. I like cleanliness. I like to see the space be treated properly. I've added a lot to the space in terms of
Damn, it's unfortunate though, because his office is not going to stay clean for very long, because he's basically going to deport everybody who would typically clean his office.
beautification. In terms of modernization, that's a
Gallery of presidents.
It really is. It really is. So, and it's an honor to have you
quite
people
literally
with
a gallery
us.
of presidents, yes.
Mr. President, thank you for doing this.
Thank you very much.
Here in the Oval Office, it's special. 100 days into your second term. So, what's the one thing?
Well, third term if you ask him. Like he's pretty crazy.
Just one thing that you think is the most significant thing you've done so far in these 100 days?
Well, I think maybe the border is the most significant because our country was really going bad.
It's really the only thing that he can have a positive claim on so far since he's entered into the White House. And even then, it's kind of fucked up, right? The tariffs are so far a mess. Hopefully they pan out. But those are so far a mess. But the only thing that he can claim is like, hey, listen, we got a bunch of, legal immigrants out, which is great. The only problem is that now we're, again, violating due process of, non-illegal people. Or that's where we're kind of headed. It's just kind of indiscriminate. Me personally, I have more of an old school conservative vibe. Like, yeah, people shouldn't be here illegally, but I also understand why somebody would break into the greatest country in the world so that they could have a better life for their kids. And as long as they're working, I'm really not concerned with it. And I feel like conservatives kind of lost that value of like, hey, if you're working, I'm going to keep my eyes closed because you know what? Taxes are cringe anyway,
They were allowing people to come in from prisons, as you know, and you've heard me say it, but you've heard a lot of people say it. Prisons, mental
True. Mostly just
institutions,
you,
gang
yeah.
members, murderers. We had many murders, 11,888, they think. Some murdered
I feel like I should do a little more than they think, but okay.
more than one person. So you had murderers coming in, you had everybody coming in, and not
I'm sure there were murderers coming in. Most of the people probably weren't murderers. I think that the way that Trump talks is in a way that's too exaggerated. Like, hey, it's good that we got the border under control. Not good that we're violating due process. But not all illegal immigrants are fucking murderers. Most of them just, love their family and maybe want to provide a better life for them in the greatest country in the world. That's kind of the negative that comes out of us having the greatest country in the world. Everybody wants to come here. You know, yeah, kind of causes that problem. Let's be real.
Not just South America, from all over the world. They were emptying their prisons.
We do have a lot of criminals here, though. For instance, I don't know if you know this, Donald Trump is a convicted criminal. He invites rapists like Conor McGregor to come talk at the White House. Those people are also, I don't know if you know this, rape is bad. I don't know. Trump supporters seem to struggle with that one. He wanted his administration pressured Andrew Tate lift the visa to get him here from Romania, the travel ban. There's been a lot of controversies that Trump is engaged in. It's almost impressive.
Into our country, and now it's totally closed down.
You got to stop saying the greatest country in the world unironically. Why? Why do I need to stop saying the greatest country in the world unironically? To explain it to me. I understand that we are turbulent. We are a turbulent country right now. That is absolutely true. We are struggling. Explain to me how we are still not the greatest country in the world. And I'm going to explain to you why we are the greatest country in the entire fucking world. There are 3 superpowers. One of them is America. The other 2 are dictatorships in some capacity. Why do you think that your country, you're probably from some other Western fucking country, why do you think your country has freedom? Because of the United States of America. Canada and the entire of every other Western ally combined isn't as strong as the United States of fucking America. So we have problems. We need to fix them. I think Trump is a pretty big cause of those problems. But don't get it twisted when you sitting here telling me that we are not the greatest country in the entire world. We're the only reason that Western countries have freedom. Okay, without us, Western society falls. It crumbles. That's it. It's as simple as that. All right, so don't be, we're not the greatest country in the world. Oh yeah, of course we have fucking problems. But we are the great American experiment. They don't call it the great European experiment. They don't call it the great Russian experiment. They don't call it the great Chinese experiment. They don't call it the great Middle Eastern experiment. They call it the great American experiment because we're the last fucking bastion before the downfall of the freest and most incredible civilization that has ever existed in the entirety of history and ever will. That's it. I'm sorry. That's it. You can cope as hard as you fucking want. Oh, we have more freedom here in Canada. You're a thought to us. I just want you to understand that. Without us, you're doomed. So we are the greatest country in the entire world. We're just going through a rough patch. We're going through an emotional COVID right now, okay? We're going through an emotional COVID, I'm going to call it. Forgot to unpause. Hold on.
America from all over the world. They were emptying their prisons into our country.
All right.
And now it's totally closed down. And you've seen just
something. Yesterday,
they announced 99.9%. Nobody thought that could happen.
Well, I mean, I think everybody thought it could happen. But you're violating due process. You're violating due process with a lot of the ways that you interact. And frankly, I don't believe in a full-on border shutdown. I think we have the responsibility to take in asylum seekers. We should be doing that, especially since we have a hand in destabilizing people. But whatever.
And it happened quickly, very quickly. And I think that's very significant. But we're doing other things that are very significant.
All right, like
the
what?
Results will take a little bit longer because
I'll tell you, everything Trump's doing is very significant. Whether it's good or bad is something else. So
it's one of those, it's complicated. It's many years of trading abuse. We've been abused by other countries for years and years.
No, we haven't. I hate this lie. We should be really tough on China because they do intentionally subsidize like their industries to undercut the foreign markets to try to engage in like monopoly tactics so that they're like the only ones that you buy from. And I'm fine with being tough on China, but stop pretending that we've been abused by like everybody. You can't do that. It's not like he took an educated look at all these countries and be like, okay, we're going to examine them independently and we're going to renegotiate trade deals. No, he didn't do that at all. He's just like, if there's a deficit, we're being taken advantage of. Okay, well, one, we are the most powerful country financially in the entire world. The average American consumer has more money than the average everybody else consumer, right? So obviously we're going to have more buying power to be able to do things like buy stuff. Who would have thought? Okay, but then also like look at Canada. Like, yeah, we have a trade deficit with them because there's 40 million of them. There's 340 million of us. Of course we're going to have a trade deficit. But per capita, they spend $7,800 per person on average of American goods per year. We spend $1,200. They're spending at the rate of like 6 times us. So like we're not getting screwed by them at all. We're in fact, like it seems like they're getting screwed by us. You can't just make these baseless random claims. We're going to have very complicated like trade agreements with different countries based on certain factors. And like for some of those factors is we give other poor countries good deals because we want them to be our allies, because you know they might have some kind of a mineral or some kind of a resource that we want to have sole access to or priority access to. Or they might, you know, they might be able to put like a military base there that would give us like a lot of, strength in the world. There's a bunch of different moving parts here. We just want to ignore those things and go, oh, we're being abused. No, we're really not. It also does ignore the fact that we are like we priority are a services economy. Like I think it's 80% of our GDP comes from services. You know, like trade jobs, healthcare, technology services, things of that nature. So to ignore that is kind of fucking stupid, to be real.
Laughed at us. They thought we were stupid people, and we're fixing it. And
nobody thought we were. Well, people think we're stupid now, but
I think that's going to be very, very important. But
we have a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, I would really say that.
I wonder what it's like to be the rest of the world, especially like a country that's like generally educated. Just keep in mind, we're talking about getting rid of our Department of Education. We are a very stupid country. Could you imagine being some other like country like Canada or Europe, or specifically like Canada or somebody in Europe? That's like probably on average smarter than us. And they're just like, look at these fucking idiots. We're just like literal fucking morons right now, swinging clubs. We get to do whatever the fuck we want. We're strong, but we're really stupid. We're like fucking ogres over there. And we're like, I guess we're going to take a fucking dick. Hopefully things get better in, 3 years and change. Roughly 4 years. I mean, it's got to be just embarrassing to me. It's got to be fucking embarrassing.
That the border is so important,
and we'll get there. Immigration is huge, and we're going to get there. But I want to start with the economy, the number one issue for so many people, for just about everybody.
Well, yeah, because it's how we live.
It's one of the main reasons that you're back in this office, and now we have this trade war with China that Moody's.
I'd say the main reason is because people are very ignorant and don't understand how decent the economy was under Biden, based on the circumstances. It wasn't going to be great because we literally had COVID, but he did a decent job. And by the end of it, I think our inflation was like 2.3%. By the end, obviously much higher during COVID, but that's, during COVID.
And other analysts say it's going to cost American families thousands of more dollars per year. And there is a lot of concern out there. People are worried. Even some people who voted for you saying, I didn't sign up for this. So,
well, again, they literally did sign up for this. Let's be absolutely clear. They quite literally signed up for Donald Trump putting a bunch of tariffs. He kept saying he was going to do it. What did you didn't trust him?
Answer those concerns.
Well, they did sign up for it actually, and this is what I campaigned on.
He's
said
right.
That we've been abused.
He's right. It's actually so funny when like Trump supporters like, wow, the economy's so bad. Why is this happening? He ran on like 25% tariffs. I don't understand what you're talking about. Like Donald Trump told you the guy he was. Did you just not believe him when he said it? He told you what he was going to do. Why didn't you just believe him? What the hell's the matter with you?
By other countries at levels that nobody's ever seen before. We were losing $3 to $5 billion a day on trade.
We're not losing money on trade. People need to understand something. Like we have, I think it was a $1.2 trillion deficit. Trade deficit, and you're like, wow, that's like we're getting screwed. But like, why? Ask yourself, why do you think it was so high? There are a variety of factors, but like one of the factors is we are a massively powerful country economically. We have so much money that we're buying cheap shit from other countries like China. So to say like, oh, it's purely means that we're getting taken advantage of. Well, we just have so much money. We're just buying cheap shit constantly. We love cheap shit. We're addicted to cheap shit. That's what it is. That's a big part of it. So it's not exactly like an indication of like a bad because of that, but we're also a services economy now. Most of our economy that we make, most of our GDP comes from services. You don't really put tariffs on services. You know what I mean? We're not producing shoes or shoelaces or little umbrellas for margaritas. We're producing like healthcare services. We're producing cybersecurity services, different tech services, trade jobs, which we need more of, people to perform in, by the way. We're producing services. We got to keep that in mind here. Like, but people just don't keep that in mind. They're just like, no, I see a number. It must be bad always.
We were losing $1.5 trillion to $2 trillion a year.
No, he can't even get the number right. It was $1.2 trillion. Why do you have to lie about everything? It's so weird.
Not sustainable. They were taking advantage of us like they've never. I could have left it that way, and at some point
And we would have been
there
much
would have been
happier.
an implosion like nobody's
really.
ever seen. But I said, no, we have to fix it. I've wanted to do this for many years. You know, I had the best economy during my first term. We had a tremendous economy, tremendous success. And we did tremendous numbers of tariffs on, we took in a lot of money from tariffs, China in particular.
We did, I mean, sure, I guess. It's fine to tariff one country and fight one country. I have no problem with that. I didn't complain when his first term either when he did tariffs on China. Like, it's like, okay, you want to trade war one country, that's fine. Why the fuck are we trade warring fucking Canada? It's fucking ridiculous.
Hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs. We had no inflation, as you know. We had an incredible economy.
Yeah, he inherited half of that economy. The other half was just deficit spending. He increased how much money we spent. The annual federal deficit inflated from $650 billion at the end of Obama's term, which he cut in half already, to fucking $1 trillion before COVID was over. Like, he was engaging in irresponsible tactics. I mean, the reality is we really need to get our rich people. We got to get hold of rich people having too much money, and we need to incentivize trade jobs more. They're hard to automate, and they pay really well, and you can actually raise a fucking family on them. But we're not doing that. Trump is not doing that, even though it would be a great idea.
Given credit for a great economy. But I said, we have to fix this. Otherwise, it's just not self-sustaining.
But one of the things you ran on was you'd said you'd bring prices down on day one, and that it would happen fast, and it
And it went up.
Most economists will tell you that tariffs will raise prices. So don't your tariffs cut against that promise you made to bring prices down?
No.
Okay, all he has to say is, you want to know what? These are two contradictory things. But you got to bear with me. Things are going to be more expensive for now, and then in the future it'll change. Now, do I personally believe that? No, it's more complicated than that. It's something that would take like a decade to get the prices down, even if they were going to get down. It takes a long time to get factories in America, right? But that's all he has to say. You can't just say no. What?
Oh, because I had massive tariffs on China, if you remember, in my
He didn't have the same tariffs that he does now. It's just not true.
first term, and we had essentially no inflation, like around 1% inflation, which is like a perfect number.
Not really. It's actually, just to be clear, the target for inflation is 2%. 1% isn't necessarily good. Like, 1% isn't catastrophic, but we need, like, the general target of inflation is 2%. People think that inflation is bad. It's really not. We kind of need inflation. Getting inflation having like 2% inflation is kind of like that perfect spot where people still get to keep the majority of the value of their money, but the value goes down and it incentivizes you to spend. Because, like, let's say the value starts to deflate, or we have deflation, so the value actually that's not good, because then there's less incentive for you to spend money, right? They want you to spend money. A healthy economy needs money pumping through it, right? So it's not necessarily a good thing to get too low of an inflation rate, just to be clear. Also, he never had 1% inflation. His inflation numbers were great, just to be clear. But like, it's we'll say 2016 was 2.1, 2017 was 2.1, 2018 was 1.9, 2019 was 2.3, 2020, the beginning of COVID, was 1.4. Then 2021 was 7%, which is high. 2022 is 6.5%. 2023 was 3.4%, and 2024 was 2.9%, which is not that bad. It's not good at all. But considering we had COVID, considering we came out of COVID the strongest, like, those numbers suck, but like, we came out stronger than every one of our other allies. Which means that, and the reason why our inflation was so high was because Joe Biden did a lot of stimulus for people. And what ends up happening is, like, when you have really high demand, but you have low supply because supply lines were cut down because of COVID, and you have a lot of money in the economy, into the market, of course, inflation is going to skyrocket. But it paid off, right? Like, we came out the strongest compared to all of our other allies. Fucking stuttering there. So, we still had the payoff. It wasn't that bad.
And then when Biden took over, it went through the roof. It went to probably the worst inflation we've ever had.
I don't know about that, but it was pretty bad. Again, we had COVID. COVID's pretty bad. COVID is a factor. You can't just ignore that.
I mean, we had an inflation nightmare. Now, if you look at what's happening now, we're only...
It's just so crazy, man, that he could be like, inflation was so bad. Biden did so bad. But it's like, we're intentionally just ignoring COVID. COVID was catastrophic on the markets. It shut down supply lines. People wanted to spend, but there wasn't a lot, supply and demand. right? There's a high demand, low supply. Of course, like anybody who had gotten COVID would have failed. And frankly, Trump probably should have won and ran through COVID, because he would have done an abysmal job, and then people maybe would have shut the fuck up. But he keeps inheriting solid, like pretty stable economies. He inherited a stable economy from Obama, and he inherited a stable economy from Biden. Most of Biden's economy was not stable. He stabilized it, but by the end, inflation was down to like 2.4. He stabilized it. We're in a decent economy. And then Trump inherited it, and then he gets to fuck it up and go like, hey guys, I'm doing great. It's kind of silly.
There for 100 days, as you say. And in 100 days, we took over. We had bad inflation for 4 years, for 2 years of, especially 2 years of his administration.
Yeah, the first two at the height of COVID. Of course, what? Why? It's so weird that like it's very strange. Trump supporters also, they eat it up too. I don't really get it, but like COVID doesn't exist to them. It was just a conspiracy to them. So like when you bring up, well, yeah, COVID made things where I was fake anyway. It's like, no, it wasn't. What are you, fucking stupid? So ridiculous.
I would say record-setting like we've never seen. They say 48 years, the worst in 48 years. I say it was much worse than that. Yeah. Right. So now if you look at what's happened, energy is down. Gasoline hit $1.98 in a few states during the last couple of days. It was $3.50 and $4 and $4.50.
Well, yeah, prices of gas were up. I don't know if you guys know this. There was this thing called the war. You know, Russia invaded Ukraine. Obviously, we're going to see some issues there. Russia invaded Ukraine. There was like a pretty big issue when it comes to getting energy. Like, yeah, because we get some of our energy from Russia. Like, yeah, no shit.
But gasoline is way down. When I took over, you remember the big thing with eggs. They hit me the first week. Eggs, like it was my fault. I said, I didn't.
Well, you said you were going to get the price of eggs down. It was the fucking bird flu that increased the price of eggs. What are you talking about? Like, no shit. Then it happened with him still. And he's like, well, I can't do anything about it that quick, even though he promised to do it instantly. You know, don't make unrealistic promises if you can't hold to them. It's fine.
Caused this problem. This problem was caused by Biden. What's the problem with eggs?
Yeah, Biden gave him all the fucking bird flu. Maybe Biden was fucking all the chickens and he gave him bird flu, you know?
And they said they've doubled. And well, eggs are down 87% since I got involved.
Well, you didn't do anything. It was just they got bird flu under control, but okay.
A lot of that is bird flu. And by the way, and there were plenty of eggs for Easter, which we just went through. There were plenty of eggs.
We just went through Easter, guys. Fuck yeah.
For Easter. They were saying you won't have enough eggs for Easter. My secretary did a fantastic job on eggs. Groceries are down. Everything's down. Okay. Interest rates are the same. Interest rates should be down, but we have a Federal Reserve that wants to be stubborn. They want to be cute.
We'll get to that.
Well, we need to have the Federal Reserve obviously is going to dictate interest rates because the amount of money into the market is going to have an impact on inflation. But okay.
You said something a couple of weeks ago that struck me. You said concerning the tariffs, which economists say are going to raise prices. You said, quote, hang tough. Yeah. It won't be easy. You said that to the American people. Is that what America?
Yeah, he said that after he got elected, though. I wish he would have just said that before he got elected. People would have been able to make an informed choice.
Americans should expect some hard times.
I've said that during my campaign. Look, we won a campaign.
He really did not say that during his campaign. That was very, very, very much towards the end. Or it was not even during his campaign. That was like after he already got elected.
By a lot. We won all 7 swing states. We won the popular vote by a lot. You know, we had a tremendous campaign. I said all of these things during my campaign. I said, you're going to have a transition period.
I don't remember him saying that a single time. I don't think that is not honest. What?
Ripped off by every country all over the world. They're laughing at us. They thought we were stupid people, and we were.
And they're right. They're totally right about that one. Holy shit.
And I said, that's not going to happen. We're not going to let that happen.
Hard times are ahead?
I don't think so. I think great times are ahead. Look, since I came in, gasoline is down, groceries are down, egg prices are down. Many things are down, just about everything. You know, you don't have the drop in fuel and energy and oil like we did. I took it from maybe $3.20, maybe more than that, down into a much lower number. When you have that kind of a drop.
I'm pretty sure the president doesn't really have very much of an impact on the gas prices, unless I guess he decides to release some of their reserve. But okay, what?
You're not going to have inflation.
Not now, but it's the tariffs, right? We still have 145% tariffs on China. Your Treasury Secretary said we basically have an embargo on China.
Look, you're trying to say something's going to happen, Terry.
No, okay, well,
nothing's going to happen.
You know business.
Terry,
I want to ask you.
I do know business.
Yes,
and
so 145% tariffs on China.
Pretty sure he lowered that already, didn't he? Okay, so an embargo is basically like an official, like it's a ban on another country, like buying from another country, and they're saying that the tariffs are so high, it was not even a tariff anymore. It's actually an embargo at that point.
And that's
good.
Basically
That's
an
good.
embargo.
They deserve it.
It'll raise prices on
They
everything
deserve
from
it.
electronics to clothing to building houses.
You don't know that. You don't know whether or not China's going to eat it.
That's mathematics.
China probably will eat those tariffs, but at 145, they
You know, in all honesty, okay, listen, I fucking do not like Trump, but, and I don't even know if he knows what he's saying. He might be right. He might be right. And the only reason I say that he might be right is because China does subsidize their markets so heavily to get goods into other countries so they can dominate world markets. And so based on that, like they might be willing to eat some of a tariff, but at this point, the tariffs are so insanely high that China really just has to wait us out. As we lower our standing economically in the world, like keep in mind, China, Russia, these are dictatorships. So these aren't like, and they don't care about their people as much as we do. So they're fine with like economically oppressing their people. They have people that are historically throwing themselves off the top of factories because they work like 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. They don't really have to care. They can just like, oh, we don't care. Like we can survive this because we don't care about our poor and our middle class. We're just gonna let them die. And your people, your world standing is going to go down because we are the number one in the world right now, though that's like rapidly declining. We're shitting on our own allies. But I don't think that he's right. It's not going to happen. Like it's too simplified the way that he's looking at this.
basically can't do much business with the United States. And they were making from us $1 trillion a year. They were ripping us off like nobody's ever ripped us off. And by the way, we have other countries that were just as bad. If you look at the European Union, it was terrible what they've done to us. Every country, almost every country in the world was ripping us off. They're not doing that anymore.
I want you to think about.
You're right. We're fucking winning real hard. I'm honestly, we're winning so hard. I'm tired of winning, frankly.
The boom that this country has had in small businesses, mom and pop, Etsy stores, small businesses that became
They
big
haven't
businesses.
had a boom because
That's actually true. Like by the way, the small mom and pop, these aren't even small mom and pop shops. Just to be absolutely clear, these are people who buy cheap shit from China off of fucking Temu and then charge you like exponentially more. That's because if you like, just to be clear, I remember going on to like Etsy and seeing that they had cheap Pandora charms, and I'm like, what is this? Like, what is this? Like, where did they get this from? And then I went on to AliExpress. And I saw that like they actually like that's where they get it from. It's like they'll charge $7 on Etsy, but it's actually cost you like you can get Pandora charms for like $1 each on like AliExpress. That's what he means when he says like small mom and pop shops. They're not really like small mom and pop shops. It's just people like reselling from fucking that shit. That's all it is. But those people will see a bit of an issue, sure.
of inflation.
Well,
the boom
what they've done
was inflationary boom. The people were wiped out with inflation. I mean, you read the news.
Nobody was wiped out with inflation.
You do the business
now
stuff,
they
I
face,
assume.
Now, a lot of them built those businesses on the trading model.
Yeah, and they're going to make more money
They
now.
sourced their products overseas, and now they're looking at an extinction event.
I've been here.
They're a disaster for them.
I've been here for 3 months. I've taken a trade deficit down to a number that's very, very starting to get really good. I just got here.
What is the trade deficit?
We had a country that it was not sustainable. What Biden did to this country.
It quite literally was sustainable, and we were actually sustaining pretty well.
The open borders where criminals poured into our country, between every country in the world ripping us off on trade, it was not sustainable.
So your message to those small businesses who are saying, we can't live a month, 2 months with these tariffs. Apple got a big deal. Is there something for them?
No, not only Apple. We've got $7 to $8 trillion being invested in our country in 2 months.
Well, just to be clear, a lot of that money is actually because of Biden. People want to pretend that it's not, but like a lot of that money from like tech jobs that's been being invested, it's because of like the CHIPS Act, which incentivizes people to build stuff or to put like tech facilities here. But we're gonna shit on Biden, I guess.
Biden didn't have that over a year. I mean, if you look at Biden, nobody was really investing in this country.
It was fucking COVID. What investing are you going to do during COVID, dude? What are you talking about?
But it was ripping off our country.
He's an idiot.
Apple's putting up $500 billion, but that's only one of many companies. Companies are flooding into our country right now.
So your answer to the concern about the tariffs.
But just to be clear, a lot of that is because of Biden's policies of like the CHIPS Act. But also, to be clear, these are promises. It doesn't mean that they're actually going to build these facilities. They said that they were going to. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to. It's very possible that we won't, just to be clear.
Everything's going to be hunky-dory.
Everything's going to be just fine.
If you say so.
It wouldn't have been if I didn't do this. I had a choice. I could leave it, have a nice, easy time, but I think ultimately you would have had an implosion. Our country had inflation that was worse than they've ever had it before.
Okay.
You don't mention that. Why don't you mention that?
You don't mention COVID. It's boring listening to this fucking idiot talk.
We had the worst inflation probably in the history of our country.
Okay.
People say 48 years. Probably in the history of our country, we had the worst inflation.
It's probably 48 years if they're saying 48 years, but that's neither here nor there, I suppose.
And people were dying over the inflation. You know that. Now the grocery
I think they're dying because of COVID. That's pretty fucking crazy. Why the fuck?
prices are coming down. The energy prices are coming down. Gasoline's coming down. It's all heading in the right direction.
Okay, let's move on to immigration.
Coming up,
It is an undeniable fact that illegal crossings at the southern border have plummeted, a staggering decline. But there are questions about your methods.
Yeah, mostly in the due process that's being
President
violated.
Trump, the first 100 days.
President
continues.
Trump. The first 100
Let's move
poops.
on to immigration. And as you said, it is an undeniable fact that
True.
illegal crossings at the southern border have plummeted, a staggering decline. But there are questions about your methods. And so I want to ask
About my message?
Methods. About your methods. How you're
They
accomplishing
seem to
this.
work.
What is happening?
Do you acknowledge that under our law, every single person who gets deported gets a hearing first to
Yeah, it's called due process. Yes.
make their case?
Well, are we talking about people that are citizens of our country?
No. Everybody gets due process based on the law. If you're somebody that cares about the law, everybody gets due process. You can't really know if somebody's an illegal immigrant unless you give them due process.
Or not?
No, you're not deporting citizens at this point.
Well, let me ask you, did they get hearings when Biden allowed 21 million, because I think the number's 20 million people to flow into our country? Yeah.
It's just not true. It's not true. It was 10.5 million border interactions in his presidency. Yeah, it's like 10.3 million. Here's my thing. Obviously, the border was rough during Biden. Okay, there's no denying that. Now, a lot of that was because of COVID. Right after COVID was over, people were pouring in. I understand that. We have a broken asylum-seeking system. I understand that. And those are things to criticize, and that's fine. But, like, does it ever pop into anybody's mind that's a Trump supporter why Donald Trump has to constantly lie about the numbers when he talks about these things? It'd be one thing if he's like, hey, 10.5 million border interactions, that's pretty crazy. Like, that's a lot. That's irresponsible. He should have done more. You know what? Fair enough. Trump came in. He did a bunch of executive orders. I think he's going too far, but like he's doing something, right? But he doesn't do that. He doubles the number and he says that those are all crossings. They weren't. Why aren't you concerned with these weird lies? He lies worse than any other president. He doesn't just sensationalize a little bit. He doesn't do what Biden did and go, hey, I added lots of new jobs to the job market. It's like, well, of course you did. It's fucking COVID is ending. Jobs are naturally going to be created, right? He's not lying about the number of jobs or anything, but like obviously the context isn't there, and that is obviously wrong. But this guy's just lying outwardly, whether it's the border or whether it's the amount of money we've given Ukraine in this war, or even like lying about who started the war. It's like, what? Why are you got people not sick of this? It's so strange to me. He lies so much. So, somebody did a super chat of $5. I usually don't read these for the video. I'll usually cut them out. Not a fan of Trump by any means, but why is he doing an interview? It's not like he can run again. So he's still in order for them, like it's mostly for the midterms. right? Like after once we hit midterms, he wants to still have more conservatives running the country. And that's kind of the idea. He also wants people to like him. That's also like another part of it. I would say though that it's probably going to be another issue. Like last time he ran, he had control of I think the House and the Senate, and obviously he was president, and he lost control I think of both the House and the Senate during his first term in the midterms because he was doing such a bad job. People were sick of him, and then I guess they forgot about that. I don't know. Like people have very short attention spans. So I guess TikTok kind of fucked us.
Had 21 million people that came into our country through a stupid open border, and they were prisoners, and they were people that you don't want in many cases in our country, right? They came from all over the world. They came from the Congo. They came from South. They came from all over the world. We're talking about some of the roughest countries in the world. They had here, including terrorists, by the way. Now, but did we give them a hearing when they came in?
Well, the law requires.
Well, like yes, I mean generally the ones that came here, like most people were coming here in like the asylum process. They weren't necessarily coming in illegally. They were just taking advantage of our asylum process.
That every single person who is going to be deported gets a hearing first.
Well,
do you acknowledge that?
I'll have to ask the lawyers about that.
Why would you have to ask lawyers about that? You've been you're the president. You should know the answer to these things. It shouldn't be like, I never heard this. I've never heard it before that I have to follow the law. That's fucking insane. Who came up with this concept? Like, what is happening? What are you talking about?
All I can say is this. If you're going to have 21 million people, and if we have to get a lot of them out because they're criminals,
we didn't have 21 million people.
We can't. Do you think we can give 21 million trials? Let's say each trial.
There weren't 21 million people, so you don't have to give 21 million trials. But okay.
Takes 2 weeks. Is that what you want us to do?
The law
give
is the law, sir. The law is the law, and you're
the law
sworn
doesn't
to
say anything
uphold it.
about trials.
No, not trials. Hearings. I said
These
hearings.
people came in. They're not citizens. They came in illegally. They came into our country illegally.
And there's not all of them necessarily. Some of them are asylum seekers, but okay.
To get them out.
There's a legal process for that.
I can't. Sure, and we follow the legal process. I can't.
No, you don't. You just violated a court order. What are you talking about?
I can't have a trial, a major trial for every person that came in.
You wouldn't have to have a major trial
illegally. We have thousands of murderers that came in. They're going to murder people. They already have murdered people in our country.
Right, so
we have to get them out, and we have to get them out fast.
Really bad guys, but in our country, even bad guys get due process, right?
If people come into our country illegally, there's a different standard. These are illegal.
There literally is
They came in illegally.
But they get due process.
Well, they get a process where we have to get them out. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the Venezuelans.
They get whatever my lawyers say.
Right.
Well, I mean, they're okay. Fine.
All right, let's talk about the Venezuelans.
It's fucking exhausting. This guy is such a stupid fuck.
Deported more than 200 Venezuelans to that prison in El Salvador. You say they're violent, they're gang members, they're terrorists. Many of them don't have a criminal record at all.
Well, they don't have that's why you need to do due process.
I'm not so sure about that.
That's the problem. You're not so sure about it. You need to be sure about it. That's the issue. What the fuck?
Take a look.
I want to read you something.
Excuse me. When you look at those people, they were violent people.
We don't know that. You haven't proven that for like any of them. This is why you need to do due process.
Criminal record
Go
at
ahead.
this point.
I
want to read you something. Oh, it's based on their lawyer, what their lawyers have said. Okay. Joe Rogan said this. Joe Rogan, one of the leading podcasters, Trump supporter, about the deportation of Venezuelans. He said, quote, rounding up gang members and shipping them to El Salvador with no due process, he said it was dangerous, and added, quote, we got to be careful that we don't become monsters while we're fighting monsters.
Yeah, it's a beautiful sentiment. I absolutely 100% agree. That is the truth. That's one of the greatest things, or should be one of the greatest things about America, giving people due process and then punishing them proportionately. Very important to do these things. I 100% agree with that. We got to make sure the people that we're kicking out are actually illegal immigrants, that they are actually violent criminals, that they are given due process, that we have proportionate punishments for these people, and make sure that there's no protective order, because maybe some of those people are here legally. right? And we need to honor our word, even if you're like, I don't like the circumstances they got the protective order under. That's fair, understandable. There's nothing wrong with that. But I do think that there's something to be said about honoring our word, and our word like having meaning and value. And if our word is America, if we make a promise, we say we're going to do this, and then we violate that promise, that is the American word getting deteriorated. Just like if your fucking neighbor does the same thing to you. It's something to keep in mind. I don't really understand what happened to this fundamental concept. And then also, for conservatives, and this is a very conservative thing, who gives a fuck? Like, if they're here, like, I do care if they're here, but like, bro, if they're here and they're working and they're trying to provide for their family, like, don't you have like any empathy for that? My thing is, it's like, don't ask, don't tell. Like, if I see a fucking illegal immigrant, and the guy maybe the guy who does my lawn is illegal. I have no fucking idea. I don't care, because I don't care if you're working. That's it. Like, if you're here and you're working, I don't care. And if you're not paying taxes, I'm not that concerned with it. You should be, but I don't care. Like, you're here and you're working, you're trying to raise a family. Those are the values that I care about. Who gives a fuck? What happened to that? Conservatives used to believe that. They used to be like, yeah, logically, we can't let a bunch of people in and we got to do something about it. But emotionally, I'm not gonna be fucking shitting my pants over, some fucking illegal immigrant here that's working to provide for a better life for his kids.
Is Joe Rogan right?
Oh, I agree with that 100%. Yeah.
But if you did, then you wouldn't be engaging in the tactics that you're engaging in. So you don't believe that.
We want to be careful, and we are careful.
No, you're not.
We're doing something that has to be done.
No, you're not.
We have a country
He's literally not.
That's very sick. Joe Biden, and it's not him, because I don't even think he knew what the hell was happening, but the people around him are
bro, he won't stop talking about Joe Biden, bro. It's like Hassan and Destiny.
vicious people, and what they've done to the country is unbelievable.
What have they done to who's done what to the country? Explain it to me.
Allowed 21 million people to pour into our country.
This number is not true. 10.5 million interactions is not 21 million people coming into the country. An interaction means that some of these people were pushed back. Some people were given legal asylum, but he's just saying things.
Many of these people are criminals.
Okay.
They've allowed you mentioned Venezuela, the jails of Venezuela to be emptied into the United States. Do you know Venezuela crime is way down? Way, way down. You know why? Because their criminals are now living happily in the United States of America, and we're
just no.
Getting them out. And I was elected to get them
Bro, I honestly don't understand why we elected somebody's old, rambling grandfather into office. That's all he is. He's just rambling. He's not saying anything constructive or productive. He's just rambling. What the fuck?
out, and we're getting
Under the law.
Bro, honestly, if we didn't have Joe Biden as president, people would have been like, oh, fuck, this guy is actually fucking brain damaged. Like, Biden struggled to communicate. So compared to Biden, this guy seems like he's sound of mind. Compared to anybody else, listening to him talk for more than 10 minutes is actually nails on a chalkboard. Like, he is mentally deficient. Like, he is too old to be the president of the United States. Like, he's like, there needs to be fucking, you shouldn't be able to run if you're fucking over 60 years old. I mean, this is unhinged. It's insane. He's actually like, you can't understand anything he's saying. He's just fucking rambling.
and we're getting them out
It's fucking ridiculous.
fast, and we're getting them out illegally. Now,
Illegally, that's true.
in some
At least he's honest
cases,
about
we
that.
have judges. In some cases, they're radical left judges. What
Radical
happened the
left.
other day where a judge...
Radical left. It's always so, dude, it kills me when people say radical left anything, because the radical left isn't in charge of the Democratic Party, but the radical right is in charge of the Conservative Party, the Republican Party. And like, there's no disagreement, because this isn't a debate. This is a fact. The most left-leaning position right now in the Democratic Party is Bernie Sanders and AOC, people who think that we should have universal health care. That is that's not even a conservative. That is a middle-of-the-line policy in every single one of our Western allies. And that's our most left-leaning. AOC, who wants universal health care that has been implemented and works in every one of our Western allied countries. That's the most left-leaning take. The most right-leaning take is from Donald Trump's administration, who has said incredible things like we don't need due process for people, even though that's in the Constitution, that actually Ukraine started the war. Zelensky is a dictator. We need massive taxes through tariffs on everybody in the entire world. We need to be incredibly isolationist. We need to start stopping people from driving trucks and Ubers if they don't speak and write perfect English. We need to get rid of the Department of Education so we can keep our population stupid and easy to control. What's happening here? We need to cut services we need to cut research services. Vaccines are apparently giving everybody autism, and now we have to put people with autism on a fucking registry. This is all coming out of his administration. We're going to bar certain media from being able to ask questions. He's going to surround himself with groups of people, with everybody that just yeses him to death, and if they don't, then he gets rid of them like he did. What is his name? It's fucking Scaramucci or whatever the fuck his name is. We're going to ignore court orders from judges. We're going to use our political power to pressure foreign governments to release sex trafficking rapists like Andrew Tate from travel bans. We're going to release those travel bans. We're going to invite rapists like Conor McGregor to come speak at the White House. What else do we got here? Like I'm off the top of the fucking dome here, but there's so much shit. This is a very far right authoritarian government. Elon Musk, who's very close to Trump, supporting the AfD party in Germany, which is the Nazi party in Germany. How many other things can we get onto this list with how fucking insane and radical fascist this guy is? This guy is a radical right by every fucking conceivable metric. But he keeps saying radical left, radical left, radical left. Healthcare is the most radical left fucking policy that we might have implement in the United States ever. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the guy who is happy to fucking get rid of Palestinian people and implement hotels in Gaza. Like, how many different fucking things do we need? This guy is fucking radical as shit, and not in the cool Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles way. It's fucking preposterous.
Was protecting a criminal was horrible.
Okay.
And I think she's got big problems,
Probably.
frankly.
I wanna
And
talk
there are a
about-
couple of them like that.
I want to talk about one
Wait a
man.
minute.
Yep.
We have to be treated fairly by judges. And we're not being treated fairly by all judges.
Are you? Is he talking about the judge that told an illegal immigrant his rights? Oh no, a judge is telling, bro. That's who he's talking about. The judge who just told some illegal immigrant their rights. Who gives a fuck? What the fuck? How many times has this stupid asshole used lawyers and judges to manipulate the fucking rules to get out of some kind of bullshit? What do you think I care about somebody like, hey, you know what, you're my, what is he? He's probably her gardener. He probably does a really good job on his lawn. And she's like, listen, I'm going to tell you, this is what you have to do so you don't get kicked out. Because, it's hard to find somebody who does a good job on your fucking lawn nowadays, goddammit. Last year I went through like fucking 6 people, finally found somebody. Pretty sure he's legal, but if he's not, I would fucking tell him how to escape too. Are you kidding me? Get the fuck out of here. It's a fucking pain in the ass. So she's probably just like, okay, here's what you got to do. All right? Make sure you're here on Saturday early. I got a party. And you fucking lock her up, call her a radical judge, dude. She just likes her fucking lawn mowed correctly. What are you talking about? What the hell are you on about, bro? What the hell-y?
Judges.
Oh, that's a subject. So you're saying that you don't like some of the rulings, some of the court orders?
I think the rulings will be overturned, yeah.
Let me
Well, it doesn't matter if they're overturned. This is how our system works.
ask you about one man and one court order. Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He's the Salvadoran man who crossed into this country illegally, but who is under a protective order
Yep.
that he not be sent back to El Salvador. Your government sent him back to El Salvador and acknowledged in court.
Which is like, listen, America made a promise, and now America's not keeping a promise. That's how the rest of the world is seeing it. That's just the reality.
That was a mistake. And now the Supreme Court has upheld an order.
The Supreme Court that he's stacked with conservatives, by the way. This conservative Supreme Court ruled against Trump. This is how you know what he's doing is wrong.
That you must return him facilitate his return to the United States. What are you doing to comply?
Well, the lawyer that said it was a mistake was here a long time, was not appointed by us, should not have said that.
Who gives a fuck? Your Supreme Court that you stacked is disagreeing with you.
Should not have said that. And just so
Said
you
it in court.
understand,
Said
the
it in
person
court.
that you're talking about, you're making this person sound, this is a MS-13 gang member.
What do you mean? That's never been confirmed.
a tough cookie, been in lots of skirmishes, beat the hell out of his wife, and the wife was petrified to even talk about him, okay?
I've never heard of any of this before. It's interesting how all this information came after they got rid of him. If you guys had your fucking T's crossed and your I's dotted here and you gave us this information, which I question even being authentic, we wouldn't be here. But you guys kicked him out illegally. Now you're scrambling for information. I had everything paused though. Don't tell.
About him, okay? MS-13 gang member.
Sorry, I accidentally paused the recording. I don't remember where I was at.
A tough cookie.
Tough cookie,
been in
baby.
Lots of skirmishes, beat the hell out of his wife, and the wife was petrified to even talk about him, okay?
Again, like, I mean, these might be true, but none of this information was given to any of us like when he was gotten rid of. That's why people deserve due process. And I don't think that you care about violence against women. You invited a rapist to the White House to speak, Conor McGregor, so you don't really care about women and violence and them being afraid of anybody. Okay.
This is not an innocent, wonderful gentleman from Maryland.
I'm not saying he's a good guy.
Nobody is. I mean, but it still deserves due process.
It's about the rule of law. The order from the Supreme Court stands,
Came
sir.
into our country illegally.
You could get him back. There's a phone on this desk.
I could.
I'm a little bit of a hot take. I'm just going to be real with you. I mean, I don't think that you can... this might be too hot of a take. I don't know. It's tough to talk about how much, maybe you respect law enforcement, but then also talk about how much how dangerous somebody is to women, because domestic violence is disproportionately high amongst, our wonderful police officers. I get it's a tough job, but also the specific person that wants to be a police officer is typically somebody who fucking craves being authoritarian. So
You could pick it up.
I respect police generally. I'm just saying.
And with all the power of the presidency, you could call up the president of El Salvador and say, send him back right now.
That's true. You could do that.
If he were the gentleman that you say he is, I would do that.
But the
It doesn't matter. You were told that you had to get this guy back by your own fucking people.
court
But
has
he's
ordered
not.
you to facilitate that.
I'm not the one making this decision. We
You're the president. What?
have
You're
lawyers
the
that don't
president.
want to do this.
But the buck stops in this office.
No.
Wow, what a loser. What?
No. I follow the law. You want me to follow the law? If I were
You're not following the law.
the president that just wanted to do anything, I'd probably keep him right where he
Supreme
is.
Court
Okay.
says what the law is.
Listen,
Okay.
I was elected to take care of a problem. It was a unforced error that was made by
So then why don't you correct it?
a very incompetent man, a man that
What?
turned out to be incompetent, that you always said was wonderful, a great genius, right?
What? We're talking about Garcia right now.
And now you find out, all of the media now, they're saying what a mistake they made.
What?
A man who was grossly incompetent allowed us to have open borders where millions of people flowed in. I campaigned on that issue. I wouldn't say it was
Well, he also pressured conservatives to drop the bill that they were proposing that would have helped fix the border, because he wanted to run on the issue because he's a fucking idiot.
my number one issue, but it was pretty close.
Right up there.
I campaigned on that issue. I've done an amazing job. I have closed borders. He said you couldn't do it. You wouldn't be able to do it. It would never happen. Well, it happened, and it happened very quickly. Wait a minute.
Yeah, well, it's not happening without you violating the law. That's the problem, right? Like, this is the issue here. We have laws for a reason.
When we have criminals, murderers, criminals in this country,
murderers.
we have to get them out, and we're
So
doing it.
true.
And you'll pick out one man, but even the man that you picked out, he said he wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
Well, he had markings that people are saying that are MS-13, but there was no actual MS-13 on his knuckles.
There's a dispute
Well,
over that.
wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not
Don't
have the
do that.
letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
Yeah, that was Photoshop. So let me
That
just...
was Photoshop. Terry, you can't do that.
I'm laughing at how scary this is. So Trump is specifically referring to this tattoo, and there is an interpretation that this is MS-13. And maybe it is. I don't know. These letters here are photoshopped on there. Right? And I'm pretty sure they're not even photoshopped deceptively. I think that they're just photoshopped there to be like, hey, this means M, this means S, this means 1, this means 3. So now we're at an impasse. We're at a spot here. This is where we are at. This is the most powerful man in the world. Keep this in mind. It's one of two places that we're at right now. Place number one. Donald Trump is doing what he typically does, and he's just lying, right? Like, he lies about things, right? And in this instance, his lies are typically exaggeration. So the lie would be he actually thinks that these tattoos represent MS-13. So he's like, no, this is literally MS-13. That's possible. But there's a scarier option, that he actually thinks that this Photoshop is real. And the reason why that's scary to me is this is the most powerful man in the entire world who has a team of people around him that are able to feed him information to correct the record on this, that either decided not to tell him, or just as stupid as him and think that it's an actual thing, or they're deceiving him and he's actually basically getting manipulated by Facebook memes. That's terrifying, because the one thing I've never necessarily thought the whole time was that, like, Trump was being controlled by somebody. But now if that's the case, Trump is just being controlled in the way that your Facebook mom is controlled when they look at memes and go, oh my God, look at this chicken playing karate with a baby, because of AI. And so, like, this here to me is fucking terrifying, because the best case scenario, Trump is a liar, which we already knew. The worst case scenario, Donald Trump is a fucking idiot. And that's some scary shit. That's some scary shit.
Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay.
I picked you because I've never heard of you. Incredible. What a compliment.
But I picked you, Terry, but you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry.
It's really no agreeing to disagree. You guys are fucking idiot. That's so fucking ridiculous. It's actually really funny that you brought that up. Because I forgot to mention that they he apparently called Amazon traders because they were putting the prices. They were going to put the prices for the tariff prices. Excuse me. They were going to put the tariff prices onto the stuff that you bought from Amazon. And I read this to my mom today. My mom's like pretty conservative. She voted for Trump. She's very hopeful still. I think she's slowly coming around. But I mentioned this to her, and she's like, "Oh, why is it so bad? Like, now I know what product not to buy." And I'm like, yeah, you'd think that, like, MAGA people would be like, oh yeah, put the tariff price on that good, because now I know I don't want to buy it, because that's the whole idea, not to buy it. But the Trump administration is like kind of freaking out that Amazon would put it on there, and they're saying it's like an active political issue. She said it was a hostile political action. That's what she had said. But it doesn't really seem like a political action. It seems like you're just informing people not to buy the more expensive good. So it's interesting that they're afraid of, like, their own policy, when I would imagine the average MAGA American would just be like, oh yeah, cool, now I know what not to purchase.
Do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture.
Yeah, show us the picture.
And you think it was Photoshop? Well,
It was Photoshopped.
Here we go.
don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He had MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine,
No,
sir.
Terry,
I want to get to
Terry,
Ukraine.
No. He had MS as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news.
He actually believes that it's MS-13 put onto the hands. They're photoshopped. The tattoos can be interpreted. They're photoshopped. We are absolutely fucking cooked. All jokes aside, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Dude, holy fuck, Donald Trump is literally just a fucking Facebook mom. Oh my God. This would be funny if this wasn't an actual, jeopardization to our fucking democracy. Holy shit, he's an idiot. He's actually an idiot. This is fucking crazy. It's not MS-13, Trump. It's fucking MS Paint. What are you talking about?
Just because
When
it's
he was
fake
photographed
news.
in El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go. They aren't there when he's in El Salvador.
They
Take
weren't
a look
there,
at the
but they're
photograph.
there now, right?
No,
but
they're in
now.
your picture.
Terry,
Ukraine, sir.
he's got MS-13 on his knuckles.
All right.
Okay?
Well, we'll take a look at that.
You do
We'll take a
such a
look at that.
disservice.
We'll take a look at
Why
that,
don't you
sir.
just say, yes, he does, and, go on to something
It's
else?
contested. Ukraine.
Dude, Donald Trump is a fucking idiot. Holy shit, he's actually a fucking idiot. He's the dumbest man alive. This is insane. We are fucked. We are fucked.
Coming up, the Russia-Ukraine war
Don't
You
forget,
think he wants
this
peace?
is a
You think Vladimir Putin wants peace?
and that historic meeting.
Okay. Time for bed, Grandpa. Time for bed. Holy shit.
President Trump, the first 100 days continues.
Yeah, something.
I want to turn, I was just in Rome, and to that moving photograph of you and President Zelensky sitting in St. Peter's.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you. That photograph is fucking gay. That photo of him and Zelensky sitting there is fucking gay. It is incredibly gay, and I'm so sorry for using that as pejorative, but like that's obviously somebody was like, "Hey, what if we got a really tense picture between Zelensky and Trump?" That's probably Trump saying that because it'll look cool. And we'll put it up on social media and we'll see what people think. And we will continue to engage in the spectacle, the political spectacle of the world, of the Ukraine-Russia conflict. What we have become is fucking pathetic.
Basilica talking peace. It went around the world.
Sure.
Take us into that moment.
Well,
He forgot.
look, the Ukraine is a very serious, very tough situation.
It is serious. It's tough, but it's very simple. Support Ukraine endlessly to fight against an invading force, which is Russia. Give them as much as they need. Give them as much as they want. Don't let Russia get another inch. Beat that country down. Beat that country back. Make them realize that they are not a leading superpower of the world. And embarrass the shit out of them. That's it. Because if we're weak on them and we placate them, we're like, oh, you can keep some of the land you stole. They're just going to do it again in a few more years. And it's going to be a constant push. And we're going to have World War III. That's it. This is not, it's very simple.
And this is Biden's war. This is not my
Oh,
war, but
my
I want
God.
to see if I can solve it because
You're going to solve it by calling Zelensky a dictator and saying that he started the war?
probably close to 5,000 young soldiers a week are being killed, Russian
That's not true, but okay.
and Ukrainian.
So I think the number is 5,000 are getting injured. And also, I think it's for every one Ukrainian dying, it's 4 Russians dying. Good. Nothing wrong with Russian people. Russian government is oppressive. Russian forces deserve to die. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, I don't think it's 5,000 a week. I think that's 5,000 like injuries per week. Yeah.
We also spend a tremendous amount of money
Yeah, so it's Western officials have reported an average of 1,200 Russian soldiers killed or wounded daily during May and June. So he's just saying words. He's a fucking idiot.
in Ukraine. And Europe should be spending much more than us. They're not. They're spending much less.
Well, Europe in total gives more to Ukraine than we do. I mean, we still give a lot of money, but you're just saying he's just lying. But like now, I used to think Donald Trump was lying about the number. I think Donald Trump like actually might just have like some kind of like dementia or disability or something, you know, because like that's not true, but he thinks Facebook memes are facts. Like he just like before he thinks a Facebook meme is a fact. I think he actually believes what he's saying. I think he's been manipulated by Facebook memes. He's just been memed to death. Donald Trump is like, he's literally been memed to death. His brain has been memed into the ground. He's brain rotted like fucking like I am when I laugh at just terminally online fucking shit. He's insane.
It's been badly handled by the Biden administration.
Okay,
It's been
Biden,
badly handled
Biden.
all the way around.
You want to know what's interesting? Let me explain something to you because everybody he keeps talking about how Biden was fucking, you know, senile, blah 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 blah. Biden got us out of COVID. Could have probably been better, but no, it wasn't too bad. By the end of COVID, we were decently stable. It was a catastrophe. Most people, even conservatives, would be like, yeah, COVID was pretty rough. I understand why he didn't do great. I appreciate that. Okay. You want to know why Biden did decently? I'm going to tell you the one thing, the one reason. Biden listen to people around him. Trump doesn't do that anymore. In his first term, he wasn't really that bad. He listened to people. But Trump doesn't listen to people anymore. He fires people who disagree with him. He gets rid of people like Anthony, I think it was Anthony Scaramucci, that don't sit down and guzzle and throat his cock. If you aren't willing to sit down and go, you're doing great, he gets rid of you. He doesn't surround himself with people that are like, hey, listen, this might not be good, right? That's how you engage. A good leader will listen to criticisms. He will get rid of you if you don't agree with what he's saying. That's it. And people are willing to fall in line. J.D. Vance said he was literally Hitler, and now all of a sudden he's running with him. Oh, he's great, blah, 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 blah. He puts all this fucking eyeshadow on. Like a 14-year-old fucking emo kid going through some kind of fucking, identifying as non-binary, and then goes, Trump's amazing. Wow, really? Because you were not saying that just a little before that. You fucking weirdo.
All the way around.
That moment.
The moment was a moment of solace, in a sense, because
In a sense. Just in a sense, though.
tremendous numbers of people are dying. A lot of his people are dying. They're being killed.
Terrible.
And I feel very badly about it. I feel very
Anybody have a resurrection spell?
badly about it. That's a war that would have never happened if I were president. And it didn't happen for 4 years.
Well, the conflict was going on through your first presidency, but okay.
There was never even a thought of it happening.
If you say so.
It does feel like something's happening. After that meeting with Zelensky in St. Peters, you posted this on social media. There was no reason for Putin to be shooting missiles into civilian areas and cities and towns over the last few days. It makes me think that maybe...
Well, that was part of my post, but you're right. That was a part of a post.
And it says, it makes me think that maybe he doesn't want to stop the war. He's just tapping me along.
Yeah, that's possible. Sure.
He might be...
Yeah. Trump is gaining sentience.
Could be tapping me along a little bit.
Yeah, Trump is actually starting to gain sentience. The dementia, the dementia fog is lifting.
I would say that he would like to stop the war.
No, he wouldn't.
I think that if it weren't for me, I think he'd want to take over the whole country.
Really? You don't think that Pete wants to do it anyway? He occupies 25% of it now? What?
Personally, I always felt. So when I left, there wasn't even a chance that this would happen.
If you say so.
When Biden got involved, I won't say whether or not he handled it properly, but obviously it wasn't good because the war started. Putin went in.
Dude, the majority of this guy's answers are just talking about Biden. I don't know what he's obsessed. He's a lunatic. He's a freak.
War started.
He's an actual fucking freak. It's insane. He has to stop.
I believe that Putin.
Like the problem here is that Donald Trump literally will not shut the fuck up about Joe Biden. And let's put aside the fact that like a lot of what he says about Biden isn't true, because there's some truth to some of it, right? Like Biden was weak on the border, right? At what point do you just shut the fuck up about how Biden did everything and you just start like moving forward like a goddamn adult? Like it's the same thing as, I'm fat. I'm 35 years old. You want to know why I'm fat? Because I was a fat kid. My mom let me be a fat little fucking pudgy piece of dog shit. Okay? But you know what? I'm 35 now. I'm a big boy. I have control over that. So I don't complain about my mommy making me fat as a kid. I've inherited the problem. I am now old enough to change it. And so while I can understand Trump being like, hey, I inherited some problems, every other fucking word is Biden, 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 Biden. Everything is Biden. Everything. This guy could fucking like trip as it, see Biden put that rock there. Like it's actually obsessive how much he references Biden. You can't just constantly say everything is Biden's fault, especially when he pulls context out. Biden had a terrible economy. He had COVID, so it's a tough economy. Everybody's economy was tough. Biden's everything. This war wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Biden. The conflict's been going on since like 2014. You were president at that time too. It's too much. It's so boring to listen to. So fucking boring listening to him talk about Biden over and over and over again. It's like somebody complaining that their fucking dad hit them when they were young. It's like, yeah, me too. What are you going to do? Well, not my dad, but that's life. Shut the fuck up and move forward. At what point are you using it as an excuse not to, change your behavior? He's even blaming Biden on the economy. You announced massive tariffs. People are terrified. Everything is changing. It's Biden's fault. Okay. You say so.
He wanted to get all of Ukraine once he went in. And I think part of the reason he went in, he saw what happened in Afghanistan, how incompetent, how incompetently Milley and all these guys handled that. It was one of the greatest embarrassments of of our lifetimes, but maybe in the
Whole
history of our
lifetime.
country.
History of a country.
So Putin went in. I think Putin wanted all of Ukraine.
Right.
I think if I didn't win the
I'd be Putin right now. You guys can't hear it though.
election, he would have gotten all of Ukraine. I think he would have taken all of Ukraine. I think his first choice, never with me, he would have never gone in. With this group of losers, he went in, he saw what happened in Afghanistan. He said, wow, this is my chance. Because it was always the apple of his eye. I talked to him. Ukraine was the apple of his eye. I think he wanted the whole country.
You've said for
And
months
because
that-
of me, I do believe that he's willing to stop the fighting. Don't
You
forget,
think he wants
this
peace?
is
You think Vladimir Putin wants peace?
I think he does, yes. I
Well, then you are a fucking idiot.
think
Still.
he does. I think
Even
because
with
of,
So then why wouldn't he just stop invading Ukraine?
Raining missiles
I
on.
think he really
That doesn't even make sense. Like, dude, this is why he's weak. He's a weak person. They invaded, Russia invaded Ukraine with no justification whatsoever. He obviously wants the conflict. He benefits from the conflict. He feeds on the conflict. To say that he wants peace is stupid. That's why Donald Trump is like is a weak man's version of a strong man. He sounds real tough. No, he doesn't want peace. He wanted to invade Ukraine. That's why he invaded Ukraine. That's why he did it. He's a fucking loser. So enough. This is why he's so fucking weak. It's like this is the problem. It's not like Donald Trump's like, you know what, we have to be strong against the border, which he is, and he's not even consistent. This is the problem with Trump. He's not consistent. It's not like he's like, we need to be really tough against the border. We need to be really tough when it comes to China. But I'm not going to get on my knees and guzzle fucking cum from Russia. What the fuck? Like, if he was consistent and he was also incredibly tough on Russia, I'd be like, okay. You know what? He's consistent. He's just a strong guy who believes in fucking bullheading. And okay, fair enough. He's not. He's a fucking pussy coward that wants to push with the backing of other people when he feels like he can. Like, he's not a fucking real man. He's a fucking baby. He's a coward. The hell are you talking about? Well, I think Russia wants to... Dude, you are such a loser. These people are having their country is under threat, and you're sitting here fucking pushing Putin talking points about how Putin started the war. I mean, excuse me, like how Zelensky actually started the war, and he doesn't really want peace, and this is this person, and it's his fault, and this, that. And it's like, holy shit. It's actually fucking insane.
his dream was to take over the whole country. I think because of me, he's not going to do that.
Do you trust
I
him?
think-
Do you trust him?
I don't trust you. I don't trust a lot of people.
I'll trust pretty much any American over any Russian any day, especially somebody in the Russian government, just to be clear. That's fucking crazy as fuck.
I don't trust you. Look at you. You come in all shooting for bear. You're so happy to do the interview.
I am happy.
Why wouldn't you be happy to do the interview? It doesn't even make sense. What?
And you start hitting me with fake questions.
He corrected him that there wasn't a literal MS-13 tattoo on the guy, and he's like, the Facebook meme I saw said that it was real, so you have to be lying to me right now. That's what's happening right now, just to be clear. That's exactly what is happening right now. Holy shit.
You start telling me that a guy.
This guy's the ultimate fucking victim. Like, dude, literally, Donald Trump is the ultimate victim. Everything is everybody else's fault. The shitty tariffs he puts on, no, that was actually Biden's fault. Everything is everybody else's fault. The election was stolen from him. That's everybody else's fault. The MS-13 tattoo is real, and the fact that you're not saying that it's real, even though it is not real, the tattoo is real, but the actual MS-13 on there, that's obviously Photoshop. You're just you must just be another fucking news reporter that's trying to manipulate me and make me look bad, and everything's a conspiracy, and like my dad used to do everything for me, and I literally cannot wipe my own fucking ass. This guy's a coward. This guy's a loser. This is fucking insane. He's an ultimate victim. That's why his audience loves him, because he is the literal fucking poster boy for victim complexes in the entire United States. And every other person that had to stay home during COVID loves him, because they also think everything is a conspiracy. They think that the world is flat. They think that COVID was fake. They think that fucking dinosaurs aren't real. That's it. That's literally what it is. And they love this guy because they get to engage in their victim complexes. because they have no real struggles in their life. Some of these people, if you think COVID was fake, is because you don't have any real struggle in your life, and you're looking for a reason to be victimized in a society now where everybody wants to be a fucking victim. You have everybody on the goddamn internet pretending that they're fucking non-binary so that they could say that they're victims of something. You have everybody complaining about being fucking oppressed for X, Y, and Z in unproductive ways for social media attention. You got fucking rich black kids sitting here talking about how they are the ultimate victims of systemic racism. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. And it's MAGA conservatives are no different. They just need to find their own victimization, but they can't play a fucking race card. So they sit here and they say that COVID was fake and that religion is under attack, and that saying that gay people are valid is actually an attack on their fundamental freedoms to believe that there are fucking angels. That's what's happening here. That is exactly what's happening. Everybody just wants to be a fucking victim. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle they're on. Everybody just has a massive fucking victim complex, and it's embarrassing for these people. They should be embarrassed.
Whose hand is covered with a tattoo doesn't have the tattoo, you know.
All right.
I mean, you're being dishonest.
No, I'm not.
Let me
No,
just
I am not,
do I
sir.
trust?
I don't even think Trump's lying at this one. I think he's just an idiot. I
don't trust a lot of people, but I do think this. I think that let's say he respects me, and I believe because of me, he's not going to take over the whole. But his decision,
he wants to do it, but the only reason he won't do it is because I'm such a great fucking guy.
and his choice would be to take over all of Ukraine. Okay. It's a war that never should have happened.
Yeah, whose fault is
it?
it?
It did happen because of incompetent people.
Last question.
It's happened because of Russia. He can't even say it was Russia's fault. This is how much of a fucking cum guzzler he is, dude. It's actually embarrassing. Holy fuck.
On this.
But it never should have happened.
If there's no peace deal, will the U.S. cut off military aid to Ukraine?
I don't want to tell you that. I'm not going to tell you whether or not I would or not. I want to leave that as a big fat secret because...
You know what? In all honesty, that makes me feel a little more confident that the world might not be completely fucked, because Trump has said before that he was going to, or maybe it was Vance, but the Trump administration has said that they were going to cut off aid to Ukraine if the war, if this happens. If we don't get a peace deal, which is going to mean that Ukraine's going to have to give up some of its agency, which is unacceptable. But now he's like, I'm not willing to tell you that, which communicates to me that he actually may not do it, and that everything is just his art of the deal, which doesn't really seem to work. But like that is much less concerning, you know, than him like cutting off aid, because obviously Ukraine should get aid.
Because I don't want to ruin a negotiation. But
I'd be worried
I
if
will
I
tell
were
you, I
Ukrainian.
was not happy when I saw Putin shooting missiles into
Wow,
a few
would you
towns
be?
and cities, and that was not something that I like seeing, and I thought it was inappropriate. But I think the whole war is inappropriate.
Okay.
Again, it's a war that shouldn't have happened. This war
Why did
is
it
a
happen?
war that if the election weren't rigged, and it was totally rigged, the 2020 election.
He's still going off the fucking election ring. I told you he's an ultimate victim. He's the ultimate victim.
Rigged.
I love how he won't believe conservative judges who rule against him, but he will absolutely believe Facebook memes that Photoshop the MS-13 onto this fucking dude's hand. And he's like, this is real. The election, that was rigged, you know, even though conservative judges also disagree with me. Okay? That was rigged. But this picture of this guy's knuckles, those are a literal MS-13 on his hands. Okay? You're the idiot, not me. You're the idiot.
You wouldn't
Incredible.
have that. You wouldn't have had the embarrassment of Afghanistan. You wouldn't have October 7th with Israel. You wouldn't.
Well, that one, some could argue, was actually Trump's fault to some degree. He didn't invite like Palestine or Hamas, which I understand, but to the Abraham Accords to like negotiate a trade deal or negotiate a deal for peace. So like that would be one of the things that would exacerbate tensions.
Had any of the problems that you have right now.
I want to ask one
and
question.
you wouldn't have had inflation either.
All right.
Nope,
I want to
no
ask
inflation.
One question about
Wouldn't exist.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. There's a lot of turmoil at the Pentagon right now. There's the signal chat with his wife on it, where he's discussing that attack in Yemen. There's another signal chat discussing the attack on Yemen. There's a reporter accidentally involved. You said the
Yeah, I wonder how it's going to go. I think it's really, I mean, sounds like a Trump thing to do. I think it's going to have to do exclusively with how Pete Hegseth looks coming out of it. I don't know if Pete is framing it. I don't think he looks good coming out of it. Like, it doesn't matter what bad atrocity happens in the Trump administration. He doesn't care about it. He cares about the way that he's perceived. And it seems like Pete is kind of looking like a fucking drunk doofus right now. So I feel like Trump's not particularly thrilled with him.
other day that you had a talk with the secretary. Did you take him to the woodshed?
I had a talk with him, and whatever I said, I probably wouldn't be inclined to tell you. But we had a good talk. He's a talented guy. He's young, he's smart, highly educated.
Loves a good beer.
And I think he's going to be a very good defense
He's been a Fox News host for 20 years. He's none of those things, just to be clear.
Hopefully a great defense secretary, but he'll be a very good defense secretary.
You have
maybe
100% confidence in
I don't
Pete
have
Hegseth.
100% confidence in anything. Okay? Anything. Do I have 100%? It's a stupid question. Look.
Well, I mean, the idea is say, are you confident in him? The fact that you're not willing to say yes is weird.
It's a pretty important position.
No. You don't have 100%. Only a liar would say I have 100% confidence.
Okay.
I don't have 100% confidence that we're going to finish this interview.
We will.
Let's go.
That was a little bit badass. We will. You got him on that.
Coming up, President Trump on Elon Musk and DOGE.
Did DOGE go too far, too fast, too recklessly?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
President Trump, the first 100 days continues.
More like the first 100 gays. Slick
Elon
Queen.
Musk and DOGE. Everyone knows that there's wasteful government spending. It's really important. But the cuts have had some serious consequences. There have been cuts to foreign aid programs that save lives and keep people alive overseas. There's been research at the National Institutes of Health on cancer, on Alzheimer's, that has had to be stopped. And the question I think people have is, did DOGE go too far, too fast, too recklessly?
No.
Yes.
Oh, I think DOGE has been, saved $150 billion. We saved, that's a lot of money. There's also a lot of things now.
Yeah, but he's proposing budget increases for the military by like 180 billion. So you obviously don't care about that money. What are you talking about?
Under investigation, which is going to increase that amount by a lot. That's a tremendous amount of money. There were some things where, when I heard about them, I put them back, as you know. There are things that I'm considering right now putting back, but overall we've saved hundreds of billions of dollars.
Well, you literally just said 150 billion. So like you said 150 billion. Now you're like, no, there's actually more. Where? What are you talking about?
The original promise was $2 trillion, went to $1 trillion, now to $150 billion and heading south.
You don't know what it's going to be because we have things that are at a very high level that are being looked at right now. We also
still being looked at, huh?
Found tremendous waste, fraud, and abuse. As
no, like where? With what?
You know, we found a lot.
You know what's so interesting? Remember? Do you remember when Donald Trump like legitimately owned Hillary Clinton? And she was talking about how he doesn't pay his fair share in taxes, and he was like, "Yeah, it's because you people didn't fix the system." And everybody's like, "Oh shit!" Like that's a literal own. And you remember how we are now in the second term, and there's still no proposal to try to fix tax cut loopholes. Why is it? Why is that? I understand like politicians are all shit, yada yada yada, but didn't people vote for Trump to be a breath of fresh air, somebody coming in that's not, beheld by the political system, that's willing to do things that actually need to be done, change things that need to be changed? Like where is it? How come he's not changing that? Like just because he owned Hillary Clinton doesn't mean he wasn't actually taking advantage of that. Now he's trying to lower the deficit, or so he says. Why isn't he looking at rich people and getting rid of, not even raising their taxes, just getting hold of like the tax cut loopholes that they are engaging in? What's going on with that? How come we don't have, like, why isn't that a consideration? How come nobody's like holding up the task on that? Why is that not an expectation from any of his voters? It doesn't make any sense. I really don't get it.
A lot of fraud. There was a lot of fraud. Fraudulent things were taking place, and we ended that, and those people are going to be suffering because of it.
A legal note, fraud is a crime. There have been no referrals to the Justice Department on any.
Well, you don't know that, do you?
Well, we would, because what? Is he... What?
How do you know that?
Because it would be public information. It would be public information. What?
Have there been referrals to the? Are there criminal referrals?
How would you know that there were no referrals? I think there were referrals.
They generally are. There's been no investigation from the Justice Department.
How do you know that?
I'm asking you, sir.
No, you're not asking me. You made a statement. You're not.
Now I'm asking you.
That was a statement that you made. There have been.
I'm asking you.
Have there been? Yes, there have.
So there have been referrals for fraud from the work of
DOGE. Of course there have been. Take a look at some of these things that took place. Billions of dollars were given to people.
Okay.
people for no reason whatsoever.
Okay.
Like, with who?
Of
What?
course they have
I want
been.
to bring up what is truly one of, to a lot of people, one of the biggest achievements of your first term. That is Operation Warp Speed. You got that COVID vaccine up and going and distributed, and a lot of people took it, and a lot of people feel their lives have been saved by it. Now we have this measles outbreak, biggest in a decade, in Texas, and it's because
This is actually an excellent question. And the reason is because if the Trump supporters are actually watching this, not all of them, but the psychopaths that think COVID was fake, or if they're watching this right now, they're going to be pissed off. They're not going to be happy that Trump just admitted that COVID was real. They don't like that. A lot of like a lot of these MAGA guys, not like regular Trump supporters, a lot of these fucking MAGA cultist guys are sitting here and they think that COVID was fake. And so for him to be like, hey, you did a really good job with Operation Warp Speed. You got these vaccines out like really fast and it was really effective. A lot of people talk about how it saved their lives. My mom is one of those people. Again, she was a Trump supporter and she feels the same way. This is a beautiful question because it's fucking jerking him off over something that's going to fracture his base.
people aren't getting their children vaccinated. Do you recommend to parents that they get their children vaccinated for measles?
Well, I recommend the governors to make the decisions. You have a very talented governor of Texas.
What?
And he's making decisions, and those decisions are going to be made rapidly. This is a very much different thing than
Can you just give us like a, yeah, you should probably get a vaccine for the measles because it could kill people?
COVID in terms of rapidity and speed and other things. Measles have been with us a long time, and I'm not saying good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah, it's
I'm
crazy how we're seeing outbreaks now. That we have somebody that Trump is aligning with RFK, somebody who is a literal vaccine denier.
saying that the governors are making the decision. It's a federalist decision.
The president is our leader in so many ways, and your voice counts so much. And you can't tell moms and dads, it's a good thing to get a measles
Do
vaccine.
I recommend it?
Yes.
I do.
Okay.
Oh, wait, okay. Jesus Christ, you actually got him on that.
I recommend it, yeah.
Got it. That
Do
was
I
my
mandate
question.
it? No.
No, I didn't.
But I
ask.
do recommend it.
You know, I'll take it. I'll take it. The bar is below what it should be, but on that one, I'll take it specifically because, like, yeah, you people need to get fucking vaccinations. RFK is a psychopath that's pretending that, like, autism is coming from vaccines, despite the fact that it's not true. And then he goes, well, how come we're seeing so many people identify as autistic now, or how many autistic people? Because back in the day, you should just call that person fucking stupid, and then you would move on. Okay, I work with a guy back in the day who definitely is autistic. The dude is like legitimately autistic, but like I'm a little older, so you know, mental health was kind of budding. The conversation about mental health was budding when I was younger, right? And so now we're obviously seeing more people because they're being diagnosed more. But then if you want to have just got like my mic cut out. People who have kids older, people who have kids when they're fatter, higher chance of them having an intellectual or developmental disability. That's probably going to be another factor, you think? So we're having kids older, we're having kids fatter, and we have better identification metrics for autism. Also, like everybody seems to be fucking autistic on TikTok, even though most of them seem to be lying about it, but like that's a whole different conversation to have. Maybe that's why. And then people are like, well, in the Amish community, nobody has autism. Nobody has autism in the fucking Amish community. Really? These people don't have educations past like first grade. They build houses. Also, pretty sure everybody that is Amish is autistic because these guys build houses like insane, like with fucking perfect accuracy. But these guys aren't educated beyond like a certain degree. They don't want to educate people enough to allow them to leave the community. It's one of the issues in some of like these more, regressive communities. So what the fuck are you talking about?
And I have recommended it.
Do you think the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who has a history of, at the very least, vaccine skepticism, do you think Kennedy recommends the measles
He
vaccine?
did. He did. He
He didn't.
recommended it.
What?
Yeah, he did. He
You
recommended
satisfied
it.
with his?
Yeah, I mean, he
response on this?
recommended that they go out and get the vaccine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just think people should understand that, like, if you don't vaccinate your kid and they die of something that they could have been vaccinated against, your child's death is your fault, and you are better off without kids because you would have raised them very poorly otherwise. And that's terrible to say because children shouldn't be dying. But that's just the truth. You're unfit to be a parent if you won't get your child vaccinated. Even if you think it gives cause autism, which it doesn't, you're telling me you'd rather your kid be dead than autistic? That's great. Good job. Good parent. But it's also interesting that it's the pro-life party that tends to be vaccine skeptics, and you guys won't even do enough to keep your kids alive. You're really worried about beans in the belly, but you're not particularly worried about, actual born children, apparently. So that's a great thing.
Still ahead.
I'm asking the justification for going after people you don't like.
President
Hunter Biden laptop. You guys ready?
Trump.
Biden.
The first 100 days.
Biden.
Continues.
Biden. That's all I was going to say.
I want to talk a little bit about presidential power, the powers that you have in the presidency temporarily that the American people have given you, right? You've revoked a lot of people's security clearances. You've revoked people's security details who are still threatened, with death threats. You've gone after law firms because they've employed people you don't like, or they have represented people
Well,
you
they
don't
obviously
like.
agreed because they paid me a lot of money.
Well, the reason they agreed is because you were threatening to destroy their business with your executive order that said you can't represent clients for the federal government. That's their bread and butter.
Boys. These are the biggest, most powerful lawyers. These are not people
You got a lot of
that are
leverage as
easily
president.
intimidated.
As president, you've got all the cards.
They paid hundreds of millions of dollars because they felt, I guess, they probably felt they did something wrong.
It was for survival, sir.
No.
I really don't even know what we're referencing here, but John. But okay.
You're crushing their business.
These firms are very powerful firms.
Is he like using his presidential power to bully firms? I've never heard about this before. I would not doubt it though, given his track record.
And there's 15 of them. And these are firms that probably, look, you have to ask them. In fact, this is a separate story. You have to ask them, why did you all pay Trump hundreds of millions of dollars in services, etc.? Why did you do that? I don't know.
You don't think that
we have a clause in the thing that, while we admit no wrongdoing, but it's like one of those things. And now I'm friendly with those firms, but it's, these are the most powerful firms in the world. And they just signed whatever I put in front of them. I've never seen anything like it. I'm actually surprised myself in a certain way. But they obviously felt they probably did something wrong. I guess that's why they signed.
I guess the question out of
Given that Judge Judy energy on that one.
that is the concern that people have. Are you using your powers as president to get personal revenge?
No, I'll tell you what. You're really not asking, and you should be asking.
Okay.
There has never been a president in this country, in the history, that was persecuted like I was persecuted by really crooked people.
Do you mean when you incited a riot onto the Capitol? Causing those people to attack police officers and break into the Capitol? And didn't tell them to stop until Mike Pence, your vice president, refused to accept faulty electors, which we were desperately trying to pressure him, that would have voted against the will of the people. And then you got in troubies for that, but then you still got voted in as president, despite the claim that there's this magical deep state that's trying to keep you unelected. Is that who you're talking about? Like, that's why Mike Pence isn't running with him. What is he talking about? This guy is a consistent fuck up, and he still wins the president. Like, it's actually insane. Like, the guy tried to fucking the guy riled people up to violently attack the government, and he never got punished for it. So I don't know what he's talking about.
Dishonest, horrible people, and it's been proven.
It has not, but okay.
When you say I'm treating people rough, I'm not treating people rough. I was treated worse than any president in the history of our country.
Well, there was one guy that got shot in the head, so maybe that's not true, but okay.
And, people figured, well, maybe that's it. Finally, we got, he's leaving town. There goes the helicopter. And then I came back. And I came back because I have tremendous support. When you win an election like I won it, and you will admit I won all 7 swing states, I won the popular vote.
Yep, you did a good job beating another woman. Again, like, I think we have this idea in society that Donald Trump is like a super popular president. He beat 2 women, based. and he couldn't beat a fucking senile old man. He's not that popular. People are just like, I'd rather him than a girl, because that's really what it boiled down to. In fact, both these women had the best chance that a woman could ever have running against a fucking moron. But it was because they're women. People in this country, there's enough people in the country who still don't think a woman would be able to run the country as well as a man. So, yeah.
2,750 districts compared to 500 districts.
Okay.
That's why the map is all red. And those people feel that...
I don't know if you know this, but mostly it's land. It's not actual people. How much red the map is doesn't mean that there are people.
I was treated unfairly.
But does that give you the right to go after?
Do I think that MAGA conspiracy folks are cooked, or do you think it'll take something catastrophic for people to wake up to Trump's rhetoric? I don't know. I think that there's enough people that can like wake up from all the conspiracy bullshit. I think that a lot of people will just like accept what's considered popular to talk about. So they're like, oh, okay, like they'll accept that, like whatever the fuck he's saying, because like they can, I guess, if that makes sense. Like most people are just not really thinking particularly like strongly. So I think that's part of it, but I don't think they're all cooked. I think that some of them are cooked, you know?
Go after your political opponents with the powers of this office.
I'm going after, all I'm doing, hey, Biden did something to me.
What did Biden do to you?
And I did something to Biden. And you know why I did it?
What is he talking about?
Because he's grossly incompetent. That's not a man that should be allowed to, be looking at things that are very confidential.
But what about,
because
there's
he didn't,
71
here's
people
a man
you
that used an auto pen to sign very important documents. Now, who really is, do you think he knew that they were using an auto pen? I mean, he used an auto...
Rob, I mean, I use an auto pen for signing my taxes. Isn't that what you do? You sign something once and then you use auto pen. Why the fuck would you, what am I supposed to like continuously sign 1,000 different things? What?
Auto pen to sign very, very important documents. And
why? What does it matter? If you got the signature as your consent, what does it fucking matter? What is he talking about? Why wouldn't you do that?
So those are really the questions you should be asking. What do you think of the auto pen? Who wielded the auto pen? Because whoever that person was, think of it, whoever the person that wielded the auto pen.
Fucking technology's flabbergasting Trump right now. Who's wielding the auto pen? I don't know. Probably Biden. What are you supposed to fucking... Are you supposed to write like a brand new signature every single time? He's like fucking stupefied by the existence of technology that makes it so you don't have to consistently write your signature over and over and over again.
And he was really the president of the United States, because I don't think that Biden knew anything about it.
Fair enough. But you are the president.
You don't think that Biden knew anything about it? He's so fucking stupid. Holy shit, dude. Dude, everything's a conspiracy. Everything is this conspiracy.
Now, and I'm asking the justification for going after people you don't like.
No. People that I think are dishonest. It's not that I don't even know most of them. They're people that I think are dishonest.
These people made you angry.
No, it's not anger. These are people that I think are very dishonest. I don't think they're worthy of being able to go into top secret information. I think that's fine. And Biden did that with many of our people. But when you look at it, these are people that I don't think are worthy. That's my decision. It's not a question of anger.
Okay. I understand you just had a phone call with the new Canadian premier, and they just had this election.
Yeah.
You were a big issue in it, and Canadians, many of them, are really angry, furious about your talk about we're going to take over Canada, is going to become the 51st.
Yeah, they should be, especially since we've been winning out on trade deals with them. They spend like 6 times as much on our goods as we do on theirs per capita. So,
and it kind of is of a piece. A lot of travel is down into the United States from around the world. It feels like there's been reputational
The
damage.
country's doing great.
Well,
prices are down.
Not the tourism.
Gasoline's down. Energy's down. Tourism is going to be way up. Wait till you see the numbers. The tourism is way up.
Not now.
Now Canada, tourism's doing very well. We're doing very well.
Tourism is down. You just admitted it. What do you mean we're doing really well? What?
We're doing very well. Wait till you see the real numbers come out in about In 6 months from now, when you see the numbers,
6 more months, guys. We'll be okay in 6 months. When all of his plans topple and like 1% of what he asked for is achieved. Don't worry, guys. It'll be good.
But do you
They're gonna
think,
be
I'm going to
very
ask you,
good.
if I may, do you think the reputation of the United States has gone down
Yes.
under your presidency?
Yes.
no, I think it's gone way up, and I think
You're an idiot.
we're a respected country again.
If
We
you say
were
so,
laughed
bud.
at all over the world. We had a president
Okay.
that couldn't walk up a flight of stairs, couldn't
That's
walk down a flight of
crazy.
stairs, couldn't walk across a stage without falling.
That's
We had a
crazy.
president that was grossly
But that's like that's not an accomplishment though. Like that's the problem is you're sitting here like, yeah, we had a president who could barely walk and talk. I know, and he did better than you. That's embarrassing for you. Like that's not something to brag about. Yeah, this guy was a fucking idiot. It's gonna be like, it's unironically, not to get too brain rot. It's gonna be like when Ethan fucking wipes the floor with Hassan. It's like Hassan's supposed to be this political guy. Ethan's a drama guy. Like that's not a bragging point. You look stupid when you say stuff like that. That's what makes you look fucking dumb.
incompetent. You knew it, I knew it, and everybody knew it, but you guys didn't want to write it because you're fake news.
All right. Thank you.
And by the way, ABC is one of the worst. I have to be honest with you.
ABC is one of the worst because they didn't accept the fucking lie that he just pushed about the fucking MS-13 tattoo.
Thank you for the opinion, but more importantly, thank you for having us here. I have one more question. It's a big one. It's a question that you know a lot of people have out there.
Okay.
What do you say to people who are concerned you are seizing too much power and becoming an authoritarian president like we haven't had before?
No, I would hate them to think that.
Well, we do. So.
I'm doing one thing. I'm making America
Yeah, his feelings were hurt.
great again. And we have a country that
Incredible.
was failing. We
No, it
have a
wasn't,
country
but-
that was left at all over the world. We had a leader that was grossly incompetent.
We were left out, guys. We had a big trade deficit, though. We were buying so much from other people. We were being left out. It was insane.
He should have never been there. The election was rigged. He should have never been there. Our country suffered greatly, and now our country's coming back like nobody can believe.
Certainly
I
coming.
have editorials just today where they're saying they've never seen anything like it. They love it. Our country's coming back, and we're respected again.
Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you, Terry, very much.
I gotta say, I liked this interviewer. I think he did the best job of any interviewer, pushing back on Trump in productive ways. I think he did great. A lot of other interviewers would push back against, well, a lot of them wouldn't, but then the ones that did, I felt like sometimes didn't necessarily do it correctly. He did it in, I think, a really good way. He pushed back, but he tried not to harp on it too much. It was more about focusing on the optics rather than it was more about like kind of the optics of it more than anything else, trying to almost change the minds of, I think, Trump supporters. And I think maybe some of them watched this and went, maybe he is a stinky little boy.